Well, greetings and salutations, one and all, and welcome to the Newpreneur cast. Yep, we're back. We took a wee break for a week or so, and it's great to be back now, bringing to you on the YouTube channel for @Lee Foster Official and on my LinkedIn channel some wonderful guests to come along and have a chat with me on the afternoon. The Newpreneur cast is designed to share expertise, to share knowledge with many of you watching and listening this afternoon. And it's a great pleasure to be welcoming along many of our guests who have come from a wide smorgasbord of various backgrounds and experiences that they're going to be sharing with you throughout the next few weeks. Now, here's the question. What do you rate yourself with your customer service? Do you have loyal fans? Have you identified in regards to the clients that are out there to develop their journey? From your journey, those people you've been meeting, have they had a cause and effect of the growth of your business in a good way? Now, the guest I've got with me today to chat about many things around the customer journey and more is a wonderful lady who's based across the pond over in the Netherlands, but she's also been helping many people in regards to looking at the words that they're using and how they deliver them online and in person, websites, digital format, etc. as well. Can you please welcome with me today and this week is the one and only Sue Holloway of Sue Holloway Copywriting. Sue, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Lee. Smorgasbord, what a great word to start this with, eh? I'm very, very impressed.
I love that word. I love that word. And I normally get encouraged to do it because of my Geordie accent, I think. Get me to say
Yeah,
it.
it's fantastic.
Smorgasbord.
Yeah, it's
Um,
great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
oh, absolutely lovely. Thanks for joining us. So we talked about this a few months back, really, about where we are in regards to the customer journey. And what's your thoughts about a customer journey? How has that played a part in your business from the beginning?
I think we were talking about this earlier. I think the customer experience is so important, especially these days. You know, there's an awful lot of competition for our clients and customers. And I think the most amount of friction you can take away from the customer journey, the better off you're going to be. You're going to provide a better experience for your clients. It's going to be simpler for you. And, you know, it's going to be win-win all round. So I definitely think the customer experience is very important. It's something I've always worked really hard on. I think you can really differentiate yourself if you provide an excellent experience for your clients and your customers, because that's what they'll remember about you, like how you make them feel. So yeah, I definitely, starting out or even well into your business, definitely make some time to think through your customer journey and see how smooth it is.
I think a lot of people forget about that when they first start off in business. It's sort of like, I think they're too much looking for the sale and they forget about the journey that those customers are going to take. That creates, as we're talking about today, loyal fans, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's true. And I think it's really difficult when you're first starting out because you're working out so many things. You know, you're trying to work out who is your ideal client and you're trying to work out what actually you want to deliver to them. I work with service-based businesses rather than product-based businesses, but you know, either way, you're trying to work out what is the best thing to deliver to them that they're going to want to buy from you. You're trying to work out your finances. You're trying to work out your marketing. You're trying to work out, you know, all the customer services, all these different things. But it is really customer experience is something that's actually super easy to deliver. If you think about yourself as a buyer, what do you want to experience in a company that you're working with or you're buying from? And you know, really pay attention to that because people do really notice if you're providing a premium experience. And you know, it's very difficult to compete on price. There's always going to be somebody who'll do what you do cheaper than you do. You know, it's really difficult often to differentiate yourself for what you deliver because there's always somebody else who's another copywriter or another networking specialist or whatever it is. But actually, they will remember the experience they have with you and how easy it is and how much, you know, how pleasant it is, how much fun it is, whatever, how professional it is. So for me, it's a no-brainer. You know, spend some time thinking about how you present yourself, the friction along the way. Are you making it super easy? So if you're going out and trying to get clients on social media, do you then like draw them into your website? And if they get onto your website, are you then getting them onto your email list or getting them onto a call? You know, and one of the things I really notice often with clients is they've missed putting enough CTAs or CTA buttons like book a call here on their website. You know, so it's actually really hard to take that next step because people are like, well, what do I do now? So yeah, just I think trying to make it as smooth as possible is a no-brainer for me, but an easy win in your business.
I think it's a good point. I think with me, right, I think let me just rephrase this. There's many people out there right now, right? And I had this chat with a few people this morning, actually, was that they're frightened to pick up the phone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know what you're saying, there's all those little stop gaps in between with things that you can do online and everything else to make your life a lot easier. But I think the personal experience now, actually talking to somebody to give them that
Mhm.
experience of who you are, I think that's been lost now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, well, I think it hasn't. It hasn't. I think people who are doing well haven't lost that. And I think, obviously there's a lot going on with AI right now, and there's lots
Mm.
of opportunities with AI. But what AI can't do is that human touch. I mean, it can pretend to, but it hasn't been there. It hasn't experienced it. It doesn't understand. And so I think when you are providing that human connection piece, that's always going to be for humans to do, not for the robots to do. So I think, that's a definite opportunity. But yeah, I think you're right. I think I hate picking up the phone, right? I hate talking to people on the phone, but I don't mind Zoom. I don't know. That's weird, isn't it? If I can see them, it's fine. But I
Okay.
think, yeah, but talking to people, it's so, and actually I was thinking before I came on here, it's quite a long time since I started my business, but if I was talking to somebody about how to get started, say in copywriting, for instance, what would I say? Because back then, when I started out, I was doing like blog posts on Upwork, that kind of thing. And I'm fairly sure the sort of work I was doing back then to get experience, robots are now doing. There aren't those kind of ways of getting experience that there used to be. But one thing that I definitely would recommend doing is picking up the phone or even sending an email if you're shy, and to everybody you've ever known and say, right, this, we have a point of connection. How are the kids? Whatever. But then this is what I'm doing now. Do you know of anybody who I could talk to get some information or about ideal clients and get some eyes on my services, that kind of thing. And that's all about talking to people. I'm a marketer, obviously, so I want to say to you, yes, you need a website, and yes, you need social media, and yes, you need email. But I really believe, as I know you do as well, that it's a real balance between actually creating relationships and really nurturing your relationships, meeting people at networking events or even just people that you know in real life. But then when they go and check out your website or they check out your LinkedIn profile, you're providing credibility markers there. So I really believe that there's a real balance. You need both of those things. Yeah, you need marketing, but actually you really need that human touch on the relationship building as well. The two things work. When it's working really well, for my clients that it's working really well, they're doing both of those things. So yeah,
Yeah,
pick up the phone is a good idea.
I agree with you, 100% agree with you. I think there's a lot of people out there right now who are trying to get the quick fix. They're trying to get the quick sale. They're trying to get the quick result that's coming back from it. But they're forgetting, and again, I was sharing this morning with many conversations, is that they're not looking to take the time to develop the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you develop the relationship in the experience that you're offering with your business, that in itself is going to be a phenomenal marketing tool who somebody's experienced what you're taking them through from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're dead right. I think we imagine that some, build it and they'll come, right? Kevin Costner. I mean, it's just not true. You have to tell people about it, and I think people think that there is a magic fix. I'm forever in a networking group situation and somebody's saying, no, how do I make LinkedIn work for me? And I can help you work out how to make LinkedIn work for you. But there isn't a magic wand that you can wave. It is about consistency. And you also need to it's a bit like a dating app, right? You can only do so much on the app, and then you have to get off the app and actually build a relationship, in real life. And it's exactly the same. I actually think that we overcomplicate business so
Yes.
much. I think if you actually, what it boils down to is, I have a service or a product, and you need that service or product. So we need to have a conversation. And if you imagine marketing or network building is just like any other relationship that you have in your life with
Yeah.
friends or partners or whatever, that takes nurturing and development. But what I do know is the quickest way, if you were looking for a quick fix, the quickest way to get a client is from somebody who knows you already, or somebody who knows you, right? If you want a plumber, you ask your friends who's had a plumber. It's exactly the same if you want a copywriter or a web designer or a coach or an accountant. You ask for recommendations. So for people who are starting out, the main piece of advice would be to really leverage your network, because that's where the quicker sales are going to come. Do as much work as you can, get as much experience as you can, and then use all that data you've gleaned to really develop, right, okay, I'm now going to think about who is my ideal client. How do I learn to talk to that ideal client? how do I position myself in that industry? But it all starts with that, getting those first few clients and getting the experience and testimonials.
Do you know what's really interesting about that though is, again, I've asked this question to a few people, is that, and I've got two scenarios this week for me, right? Was that there's one that I always ask is that, have you spoken to your existing clientele about the experience that they're having right now?
Mm-hmm.
Big percentage of people out there in sales and business development know I'm always looking for the new sale. They're just getting the new sale on board, but forgetting about the people they've actually took on board already.
Yeah.
Those are your loyal fans. Those are the ones you want to be speaking to and having a chat with them. Then to say, okay, did you like the experience yet? Would you recommend someone else to speak to me? Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's the best recommendation you have in the world. Just what you've
Yeah.
just said there before, 100%. And there was somebody that a few weeks back, and I actually phoned them up this morning. Oh, we still use that symbol all the time. Still phone them up.
Yeah.
She'll phone them up. I don't know why we do that for. Just phone them up. Yeah. But again, I was speaking to somebody on a face-to-face value a few weeks back, having a cup of coffee, having a catch up, talking about things, but really delving into questions and finding out. I mean, I've known them for a lot of years and seen what their challenges are in business right now, how we can address it, what we can do to support each other, how we can help each other. And you can get that over a cup of coffee and a chat, right? There's no way, no AI involved, nothing at all. It's just a proper conversation. And I said, I'll follow up with you in a couple of weeks' time. Then. So I phoned him up this afternoon and had a chat. I went, are you happy for me to send something through to you? 100%, Lee. Brilliant. I'll get that proposal to you over this evening via email. And we're going to have a talk in a few days' time. Let me know where you are and what you like to do going forward. There's a process behind it. But it's giving them that experience to feel from you. And I think what you mentioned there before is that when they land on a web page or anything digital, the words are going to be relative to you as an individual. Do you know what I mean by that? It's like, it looks like it's come from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that actually, I've got a few points I've written down and been talking there, but I think just on that last point, I think what people tend to do, especially when they're starting out, is they, say you want to be a yoga teacher, you'll go and look at websites or Instagram profiles of other yoga teachers. And obviously, yeah, you want to do that. You want to have a look at what other people are doing. You can spot gaps, etc. But actually, what you don't want to do is just sound like everybody else. So if I'm writing a website for somebody, I actually don't look at anybody else in that industry. I ask them who their competitors are, but I don't look at their competitors first of all. I look at them and I ask them a lot of questions to find out what's really important to them about their business, what's important to them about their experience that their clients get. What do they offer? What's different about them? Why did they get started? All of those things that really tells their story, because then you can write it or create it about that person rather than really being influenced by other people in the same field. So the worst thing you can do is look the same as everybody else. You'll just get lost in the crowd. You said a few things there that I just really want to touch on. So first of all, you said about like questions, like the off ramp. When people think about the customer journey in terms of where do they first hear about you, it's social media or networking or whatever, how do you nurture them along the way? I hear when I started out, they used to say you needed 7 touch points on average to work with somebody. The last figures I heard is 27 touch points now, because it's everywhere so noisy. So, we all think about those touch points and getting the client, even the experience that a client has when they're working with us, but actually the off ramp, what happens afterwards, is also super important. So one thing, and it depends on your business, obviously. With a business like mine, where I work with a few clients in a very deep way. What I do is if it's a one-off project, like say I've written a website for somebody, I'll give them some metrics to track. And then I'll say, okay, in 60 days after the launch of your website, we're going to get together. You're going to track these metrics. We're going to have a conversation about how things are going. And if at that point there's some edits that needs to be made, that's part of the package price, right? I charge enough that not going to try and sell them something else at that point. But those conversations are so crucial, because at worst, nothing comes of it, but we've had a great conversation. We've finished off the project really nicely. I often get a great testimonial from those conversations as well. So they'll say something, I'll say, oh, do you mind if I use that as a testimonial? So that works really well. Clients love it because they know from the start that's going to happen. So they know I'm not just going to disappear on them when I've delivered the thing. So they really like that about it. And also it often then does lead to more work down the line. At that point they say, well, actually, this has been great. We also need an email sequence or something. So often it has led to other work. So even if you're selling something which is a much lower price point and you're selling a lot of them, I would think about that off-ramp process. What happens at the end? Is it a questionnaire, even if you can't get on a call with everybody? But that it's just such an opportunity to, just nurture the relationship a bit further, or even get more work out of it. I wrote down the word challenges here. Oh yeah. So you're talking about like talking to people and asking them what their challenges are. And again, when people are starting out, I think there is a bit of there's a feeling like you should only be talking to your ideal clients, to like you have a Calendly link or something to set up a call and to have questions on there to make sure you're only talking to your ideal clients. There comes a point where that's true. But in those early, I'd say 2 years, you want to have all of the conversations, even if it's with people who aren't your ideal client. Because if you, at the beginning of every call, I used to say, "Hi Lee, how are you? Tell me about your business. What are your biggest challenges?" And that information you get from them is absolute gold dust in terms of creating a service that aligns what you can do with people with what they actually need, and what are their deepest desires. So yeah, we want to know all about challenges, have all of the conversations, for sure.
See, like for myself, like perfect what you mentioned there is like, tell me about the challenges you're going through right now in your business. For me, I'm trying to identify what are your sales and business development challenges right now. And it's always, I want more business. Okay, to get more business, what do you need to do to get that more business?
Yeah.
I mean, and then what happens is, 100% agree with you, it opens up the sort of plethora of information that comes from that. It's another great word, that. I love that word.
Plethora. You're all over it today. Fantastic.
Just pop in. I've had too much tea and coffee, I think, today. I think it's people forget about qualifying the actual connection, the business relationship. And I think as well is that we mentioned this as part of what we're chatting about today, is the business relationship you're looking to develop over the years, over the months. It's the long-term opportunity behind it. And I think that's what we're doing with an experience. It's in it for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, we were saying, if you've got to hire a plumber, you're going to go with a plumber that, you've had recommended to you. The other thing, you're going to go with a plumber you've had before, right? So, when you've got a client, you've had a good relationship with them. So I have a project management system, and people I like get a little crown on their, by their name, a little emoji crown, and that means I like them and I'll work with them again. So and those people, if ever it happens that I have a space, I've got space for a retainer client, they're the people I send my email to saying, "Hey there, we had a great working relationship. It so happens I've got a space opening up. Do you know of anybody that needs it?" Because quite often, either they might need it, which would be brilliant, or they might know somebody like them. People tend to attract like-minded people, right? They've been good. Chances are their network is too. So yeah, no, I'm definitely making the most of good clients, for sure. Lifetime value of a client is amazing.
I think it's a taboo area sometimes, sales, and they talk about pipeline and all this and everything else. But
yeah,
in my eyes, if you're creating a great experience, a great onboarding experience, a great existing experience with an account that you're working with right now, they should in turn pass you to the right people you're trying to speak to. That builds pipeline, that builds more people around you. There's no harm in doing that at all, because to get that recommendation to grow and build your business, you have to start from somewhere. So you've got to treat people the right way.
Absolutely. And I know we agree on this as well. Your sales system should repel the people you aren't right for, as well as attract the people you are right for. So if you end up with people, say you have an email list and people are unsubscribing, if they weren't your ideal client, that's absolutely fine. If somebody comes and wants to work, wants something from me, but it's obvious we're not going to be a fit, I'll try and find them somebody that is a fit, because you're not doing yourself or them a service if you try and deliver a service that you're not a great fit to deliver. So yeah, I think I didn't come from a sales background at all. I know we're very different on this, but actually, I was quite scared of sales. I'd never done any kind of selling in my work. But actually, it turned out, I'd worked in the universities before I was a copywriter, and it turned out I had done selling. I just didn't know it. I'd had to sell what I did within the university to other departments in the university. There's no money involved, right? But I still had to sell it. They could have done it themselves or gone somewhere else for it. So I think also anybody who's had kids has done sales. If you can get your 4-year-old to put their shoes on, you've done sales. And I know it's different. My clients are like 7-figure business owners who they would not like that analogy of getting the kids to put the shoes on, but it's the same thing. You've got to position it correctly, and all of those things. So yeah, I was scared of sales, but actually I find I love it. but I'm never going to sell something to somebody who isn't right for it.
No.
So you're doing you and them a disservice if you've got a service that can help somebody and you don't offer it to them. Then they're missing out and you're missing out.
You see, from my perspective, I've done sales and business development for 30 plus years. But part of the highlight of my career there was working in the travel industry and working in car sales. Now, people hear car sales, they think, oh, people smile. Yeah, that's a hard line sales. But I remember being involved in that. And one of the best general managers in the world told me, I'm not going to go too much in the story, but I'll give you the synopsis of it all. Another great word. Drop that one in there. Right. But what he said to me originally was that I always looked at the numbers, the goals, the objectives, the KPIs in my early days of car sales. And he said to me, stop looking at the numbers. And to cut a long story short, he just said to me, go out there and make friends with people in the first 5 minutes. That's all he said to me. That was a game changer for me, because what happened then was that I started having some great conversation with people on the shop floor, on the forecourt, chatting to them, why they come through to see us today, who'd recommended them, did they find any information online, blah, blah, blah. Just really talk, and then start talking about them, and then really involving it a bit more about them. And I remember somebody saying to me, Lee, you spent 45 minutes with us. We haven't even spoke about a car yet. Right? No, but I know everything about you, and I'd like you to be my, part of the next journey for the next 3 or 6 or 9 years, because you'll change your career in 3 years. But I would like you to come back to me because I've got to know what you're about and what your family's about and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. And then they need a car in 5 years' time or whatever, and they're going to come back to you, right? So
Yeah.
And also it makes the world go round, right? It's much
it does.
nicer. It's more. We're going to business of our own so that we can have a nice life. And so why don't we do it in a way that's going to be enjoyable? And that human connection is all about being enjoyable, in my opinion.
Doing that, what happened with that, and I can always relate back to that, is that if you treat people the right way, they're going to shout about you from the rooftops.
Yeah.
I had some people walking into my forecourt saying, looking for Lee. Oh, he's over there. Great. We're being recommended to come through and see you from X, Y, and Z. And they traveled miles to come through and see me. It was really just, everyone hopefully will have a story like that. People either be picked up the phone or encouraged to speak to them. And that's how sales works.
Yeah. I think if you are in an industry that doesn't have the best reputation, certainly when I was starting out, marketers really didn't have the best reputation. I think if you have, I hate the word authenticity because it's so overused, but if you are genuine, then you do stand out. It's a bit like these days, I hate to say it with LinkedIn, there's so much rubbish AI content on there. If you do actually create some content that is, same with email, same with websites, that is actually true from the heart, genuine, you really stand out. It's an opportunity.
Yeah. I think as well, also on LinkedIn, when you talk about that sort of exposure, that type of experience on there, right? I think I totally agree with you on that, right? Totally agree with you on that, because when you put an image of just you out and about somewhere, just you on an image, you get more traction from that than anything else you put out there.
Yeah. It's that spontaneous content that is the best, so, and it's, you meet up with somebody for a coffee, you go to an event, you with a client, whatever, in the moment. Because, when you're standing in the queue at Starbucks or whatever, and you're scrolling through your phone, you don't want to be reading a how-to post with 15 steps. You want to be seeing what Lee's doing today, where he is, what he's been up to, that kind of thing. And it's that entertaining thing. So yeah, for sure. You also need the kind of beefier posts as well to actually really show who you are and what your values are and the sort of services that you deliver, and to provide a little window into the way you think. But I think in terms of getting engagement, that spontaneous, genuine posts of what you're doing with your day, they get really good engagement.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, using this, taking a screen grab of the picture at the end and putting it on social media and say it was great to catch up with Sue later on this afternoon, blah, 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 virtual cup of coffee, and then have a link in the comment box you want to take them to. But again, it's personal. It's where you've met people and where you've been chatting to them. I think LinkedIn's changing ever so slightly around that. I think people are jumping on the bandwagon, and I'm sort of like, seeing a bit of it, step back, get back to what I did before originally. I think that's really important.
And then it's also then thinking about that journey. So let's imagine somebody does see your post, your cup of coffee with whoever today, and then they think, oh, I'll go and check him out. Who's he? Let's have a look at the profile. No, so they go into your LinkedIn profile. does that really do a job? Is that like a second homepage for your website? And is it really, providing all that information they need to know in order to trust you enough to reach out to you? Is it then really obvious how to reach out to you? Is your email address there? Is your phone number there? Whatever. And, so it's just also always making sure there's no friction in the process. Because if people don't have time, so if there's any kind of friction, then they're going to go elsewhere. It's just making it as smooth, as easy as possible.
I totally agree with that. And again, it's what we've talked about really today is about that experience that we're going through, and it's the experience of you.
Yeah.
It's you as the individual.
Yeah.
We can have anything we have around us, but people only deal with you and buy from you if they're getting a great experience from you as an individual.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, people have said on this podcast before that, people buy from people, not businesses. So if you can really present yourself and who you are and what's, people get a bit worried when I say what's different about you, because they then get into a kind of comparison game. So I think instead of thinking what's different about you, think about what's special about you. What if you look back on your own experience and expertise and personality, that is a real unique mix. So if you can really communicate that, not only in your marketing, but when you just speak to people in networking or in real life, that's how to really differentiate yourself by, keep your eyes on your own paper. What's special about you rather than worrying too much about what other people are doing.
But it's also, again, to the point you just brought up there, it's about the tapestry that we've got of what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people look at the present and now of what people are doing, like looking at Sue as the copywriting expert, myself involved in the networking and business development, but they don't delve in to find out what you've done previously and what brought you to that type of position where you're in right now, which again is that tapestry of where you started from. And that's your life experience, the things that are brought to create who you are right now as an individual.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that's why it's your job to tell people, right? Because, I hate to say it, but it's completely true. People are only interested in what's in it for them. They only want to know. They don't care what your experience is or what your qualifications are most of the time, depending what you're doing. They don't, they don't care about any of that. What they want to know is if your thing is going to work for them. So it is up to you to present that, to show you have authority. You've done it before. You know what you're talking about. You've got other people who say that you did a good job for them. You make it easy for them to take the next step to work with you. You have to tell them that information in a way that really connects with them, and that normally starts out with what they're experiencing right now, where they are in their business, or what problems they've got right now, and then that's how you attract people, and then you can then say, well, this is how I can help you, and really then show, I know you agree with this, the outcomes, the value of what you deliver to somebody, because that's what they're interested in.
100%, Sue. 100%. Also, we're getting near the sort of end of our show this week as well. But how did you get into copywriting? Because you went from marketing, you've gone through that stage of that experience. But what was the change point for you to sort of drift into being a copywriter for yourself? Just out of curiosity.
So I started quite a long time ago now, but it was basically I was living in the UK, and then we got the opportunity to move because my husband's job to the Netherlands, and then we moved to Singapore, and then we moved back to the Netherlands. And to be honest, I set up my own business as a copywriter because I got bored of getting a job and having to leave it. So it was more through necessity I started my business than anything else. And I never would have thought when I was growing up that I could be a writer and make money out of that. I mean, that was so pie in the sky. So funnily enough, I loved it. I started out, as a copywriter, did the courses and all that kind of thing, got the experience, and I've loved it. But also I really loved the business building side of it as well. And that's what really surprised me, I think. I thought I'd like writing. That seems like a dream. But actually, like selling and learning how to do the numbers and all of those things has been fantastic. So I love having my own business. I was talking to somebody in our network not long ago, and we said we've basically made ourselves unemployable. We couldn't have a boss now. It would be the worst thing ever. But yeah, no, it's a complete dream. Ups and downs for sure, but couldn't imagine any other way now.
It's funny, again, at the point with that, it's like you start doing a business from an idea that you've had or a passion that you've been doing or a hobby that's starting off. And it's so true, you get to that stage, maybe sort of 7 or 8 or how many years down the line, then you become unemployable because it's weird looking at it that way. Could you work with somebody else? Well, we've all probably delved in it at some point over the years and they're going, I like to be my own boss.
Yeah.
I'm my own boss of my own time.
Yeah. And then, I know it's been said on this podcast before, but if you've seen a new opportunity, you can't always chase the shiny things. But if you do see a new opportunity and you really want to go for that, you're in control and you can go for it.
Of course you
So
can.
yeah, no, can't imagine any other way.
That's the flexibility behind it, though. If you do
I
see
love
some
it.
people, and I think there's a way of being a consultancy rate and stuff like this that gives you that opportunity, that conduit. Oh, I'm on fire today with these words.
You are.
Oh, it might be you're inspiring me, I think, Sue, right? But again, that sort of opportunity that comes up is the way you go down that path, and that again, I've seen that happen all the time. Yeah, but interesting,
Yeah.
interesting fact. So, where your business has developed, where you are now, where do you see yourself in the next 6 months then, Sue?
Yeah, so I'm have really transitioned over the last year into doing a lot more content strategy and positioning strategy. So it's always, when as a copywriter, if you're going to write something for somebody, whatever it is, website, social media, email, whatever it is, you always do that foundational piece first, like a branding expert would do as well. So, finding out about the positioning, working out the positioning. And often when people come to me, they haven't done that piece yet. They're not ready for the website because actually they don't ideally know who their ideal client is. They haven't thought about how to position their business for them. So I always ended up doing this big piece of work first before doing any writing. And as I'm finding, like over the last year particularly, people are now coming to me for that piece. They know that they can use AI to do some of the writing for them. I would say not as well as me, but anyway. But what they can't do is, because it's so difficult to do that work, as so difficult to do that work for yourself, to work out like who is my ideal client, how, what is different about me, all of those things. So I am moving far more into doing that foundational kind of brand book, not the visual side of it, but all the foundational pieces that you need in order to have good copy, and then also help people to know, what is the best road to go with my marketing in terms of can't do everything. You can't do everything. So what are the pieces of marketing that are going to really move the needle in the business? So I'm now doing more of the positioning and creating that strategy for people. And then obviously, being from a copywriting background, I can also either write their copy for them or review the copy they've written to get it so that it's platform specific. So that's the way I'm going, and it's really exciting, actually. I'm really, really enjoying that, really going deeper into people's businesses and having hopefully having a really good long relationship with them.
Love it. It's brilliant. And you've also got a free download if they go to the website, which you're advertising at the bottom. If you go to SueHolloway.com, what do they get if they click on the free download?
Yeah, so there's a guide there to becoming sought after, basically. So how to, again, very simple. I like to keep business as simple as humanly possible. So very simple strategy for actually being noticed, and then also taking clients down that customer journey we've been talking about.
Brilliant. Well, I highly recommend everybody, if you get the chance, download or go to Sue's website, SueHolloway.com, and then click on that free guide. It's always nice to get something free, but it might take you down a path that you never known about before, and to give it a try as well. So, Sue, thank you very much. And how else can we get in touch with you if someone's watching and listening to this now on our YouTube channel and on my LinkedIn profile? How can they make contact with you?
Yeah, so you can either email me at sue@sueholloway.com, or you can check me out on LinkedIn. If you search for Sue Holloway Copywriter, you'll find me. Thank you very much.
Perfect. You're welcome. I would highly recommend, if you're watching this, don't forget to hit the little bell button that says subscribe on it. Click on the YouTube channel at Lee Foster Official. Click on there and subscribe to the YouTube channel to be kept up to date, and to watch this episode back if you want to, just to see any of the little golden little tidbits of things that are in there for us, the treasure trove of information that's been shared today by me and with Sue. And also keep a note on LinkedIn, because we'll always go live on LinkedIn when these Newpreneur casts are up and running with us as well. But don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and maybe share it out to somebody who you know. Ask them to get connected and start subscribing to it as well. Massive thank you, Sue, for joining me this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been brilliant. Absolutely superb. Thank you very much. Stay tuned, everybody. Watch out for the next Newpreneur cast coming up next week, where I'll be interviewing and chatting with a cup of coffee with one of my guests along next week and the week after. So there's more news on there on the YouTube channel to find out about that as well. From me and from Sue, we hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and a phenomenal evening tonight as well. Thanks for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all soon. And keep connecting, everybody. Take care. See you all later. Bye-bye for now.